Cool. All right. So, Brian Angel, welcome to the first ever Lifestyle Flipper show podcast. I don't know what it's going to be called yet. This is the first episode. It's just literally an idea that I had a little while ago to, call up my buddies, call up people, and, record these conversations so people can, see what we talk about and see what we share with each other. Because I think there's some really good, nuggets of wisdom that, get passed between people when they're on a call, such as this. So why not record it, hey? Well,
Yeah. If people could see our Facebook Messenger chats, there's like tons of gold in there
yeah,
between all the guys that we've got together chatting. So
definitely. So if we can get a little bit of that, a little snippet of that onto the social channels like YouTube. I'm not sure if this might end up being being a podcast or whatever. I don't know, but if we can get a little bit of that onto out there to the world, then we're doing everyone a favor, I guess, aren't we? In some sort of way. Well, at least I feel like we are. Um, cool, man. So you're from Colorado. You're a family man, just like me. You got a wife, two kids, and a couple of dogs. Tell me a little bit more about yourself. You're also a coach for Dropship Lifestyle. Is that right?
yeah, that's right. Been doing that for a few months, but yeah, most of what you said is true. I'm originally from California, so I'm a beach kid at heart, but I transplanted to Colorado specifically for this because, needless to say, the cost of living in California wasn't conducive to starting a lifestyle e-commerce business.
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so we got out of there almost immediately after we started all this stuff. But yeah, now living in Colorado and trying to mix raising a family and starting a business all at the same time, and at the same time, my one of the beauties of what we've done and what we do now is that my wife is able to spend most of her time with the kids now.
Awesome.
Which is great. So she takes care of the boys, and so we've got like a really nice lifestyle that we put together
Yeah.
as a result of this business model that we've hit on.
It's crazy, right? Like I'm in a very similar position. I've got a wife and I've got a 4-year-old daughter. I'm able to work from home with them, every day and be with them, rather than being out at a job. And it's crazy just to think a couple of years ago that wasn't possible at all. It was just I'm not sure about you, but it was like this far off pipe dream that I had, this goal that I was trying to achieve. Then all of a sudden now, like it's just normality. It's every day. I remember actually like one of the first days where I was actually like able to go out and go out to like a restaurant or something like that, like during the week, and it felt really weird, like being out in work hours. I felt like I should be back in my office or something like that. Yeah.
To be honest, I'm still adjusting to it. Even after almost 2 years, it still feels kind of strange. And part of that is, I'm generally in a B2B niche, so there's a lot to be done, a lot of things required during business hours.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. It's just hard to imagine. For me, if I go back probably about 4 years, at that time I was living in LA, and I was spending about 2.5 hours a day just in my car.
Oh wow.
To and from work. It was a 30-mile commute, but it would take me an hour and a half in and usually an hour to get home.
Yeah.
So and then you've got 9 hours or so in the office in between that. So roll that forward to now, my commute is walking up the stairs to my corner office.
Yeah.
My second story,
Yeah.
So,
no more traffic. You might cross like your dogs on the way or something, which might hold you up.
Traffic I don't get.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, one thing that I think the only thing I miss about the commute, because I had a very similar commute too. Like it wasn't as long as what yours was, but mine was like, what was it, an hour and a half every day, in the car.
You gonna say podcasts?
Yeah, podcasts. Exactly right. And audiobooks. So like I used to consume an hour and a half worth of information every single day, every single work day. So 5 days a week, I'll be consuming an hour and a half worth of podcasts and ebooks every day, and I was just soaking it all in. And now I kind of miss that time, like there's all these podcast episodes that are building up in my iPhone that I'm not listening to anymore. And I kind of miss it, but the trade-off is, of course, it's huge. We get to, as we said, work from home now, choose our own hours. Really, I could choose to listen to those podcasts now, but because yeah, no, it's hard to do. Like I've got work to do. I've got all these ideas which I want to manifest and get happening. So, but no, it's amazing that
Yeah.
we've got that freedom these days, huh?
I'm actually like on the exact same page, because if I really think back to like the genesis of where I am now, a lot of that started. Um, a lot of the ideas originated from listening to the Tim Ferriss podcast
Yeah, me too.
on those
Yeah.
drives. And I actually I was one of those guys. I read the 4 Hour Work Week um, later on. You know, I know a lot of people that follow you and that are going to be in this community have probably read the 4 Hour Work Week. But I started with the podcast, and I listened
Uh
to
huh.
pretty much every single podcast he had over that time, and that was where the wheels really started turning for me.
Yeah.
I think in practicality, I think there was always a desire for my wife and I to have our own business and specifically online, but
Mm-hmm.
that really catalyzed the process, and along with podcasting or listening to podcasts, you also your mind just going a million miles an hour. I think during that time, it's like if the podcast isn't on, you've got quiet time and you're thinking and you're formulating, and you know what I mean. It's just I do miss that in some ways.
Yeah.
It's that was what I needed at that time, and I'm glad I had that.
Yeah, for sure. Excellent. I agree. Like in the car when I'm by myself, when I'm driving, it's sort of almost like a meditation. You know what I mean? There's nothing else going on. I can't do anything else. I'm just there with that podcast or with that book. It's almost like having that person there with me, like direct teaching. I do miss it. But let's just backtrack a little bit for a second, Brian, and explain to listeners sort of where you were like a few years ago before you were working online. Obviously, you had a job of some sorts.
Yeah,
What was Brian's past life like?
man, it depends on how far back you want to go. I've had a pretty all around, all over the place background. I've been in like sales and marketing in different capacities since I was like in my mid 20s. I actually before that, way back when, I think I've told you this before. I actually raced sailboats
Yeah.
semi professionally for a while, and ran a youth program out in Los Angeles for a while to kind of support myself, and one day kind of had to realize I had to grow up and get a real job, and not surprisingly that coincided with meeting my wife and being ready to settle down.
Yeah.
So I've been in sales and marketing for a long time in different places, but I think like if I go back 4 or 5 years ago or so, I was in a role um, where I was doing a lot of commuting and worked for a really great company,
Okay.
and worked right underneath the CEO, who was like, to this day is still a good friend of mine, and kind of still a mentor of mine that I go to. And so by all accounts, that should have been like an amazing job. I had a say in strategy and marketing. I was also helping develop all of their training and learning programs, and sort of had this like freelance role within the company.
Right.
But couldn't change the fact that I was stuck in an office for 8 9 hours a day, commuting, and it just didn't fit my lifestyle. I mean, at that point, my son was he was I literally started my job there because my son was born. I took that job because he was born and we needed the income, and so I was there for a couple of years, and it made me
Security,
crazy
right?
just not being home with him
Yeah.
more often. So then my wife and I got this really crazy opportunity to move out of LA up to Central California, a place called San Luis Obispo, and help start up a cannabis business,
Right.
which was a pretty wild year. And it's too long a story to go into detail here, but it was
Yep.
very legitimate. It was very um, um, it revolved around healthcare and testing, and sort of the whole idea was bringing the industry above bar, so to speak,
Uh
and
huh.
creating standards, helping to create standards that would make it safer and healthier and more viable as a medical product.
Yep.
But ultimately, it didn't work out for a bunch of reasons. But so the culmination of that, though, was both my wife and I are working for this startup, and after a year or so, it becomes obvious that the money's pretty much dried up, the partnership isn't working out, and so that was kind of ending. And so I always like to tell the story about how I literally had the opportunity to fire myself and fire my wife because it was like,
Oh, nice.
there's
Okay.
nothing here, right? We've got to do something. So
Yep.
so that's what I did. I fired myself and fired my wife, and
What was that interview like?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't have to do any wrap up interviews afterwards.
Yep.
But we settled up on like a decent severance there, which really helped us out.
Yep.
And that was kind of it was so I basically after that happened, we dove wholeheartedly into at that time dropship lifestyle and starting our first store.
Oh wow.
And
Okay. So
so
so you had you was kind of put yourself up against the wall, so to speak. Like you didn't really have anything to fall back on. Is that right?
yeah, that's exactly right. So
Wow.
I always feel like I'm one of the few people that didn't do this with a job on the side,
Yeah.
which that's good news, bad news, right? You don't have the safety net of income coming in. Thankfully, we had some nice savings to fall back on at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, but on the other hand, you live with the terrifying stress, especially with a child, and at that
Yes.
point, I now had two,
Yes.
and of not knowing if you're gonna be able to pay the bills, 6, 8, 12 months down the road. So
Yeah, I was actually in a very, very similar situation with, I mean, when I first got started with my e-commerce business, I did have a job and, I did have money coming in. But at the time when we sold our house and moved to Thailand, it wasn't enough for us to, it didn't replace my income before. And it wasn't enough for us
right,
to sustain our cost of living back here in Australia. So we didn't know when we moved to Thailand if we were going to like it. And if we didn't like it and we wanted to come home straight away, I had nothing else to fall back on. I can totally get where you're coming from with, like the weight on your shoulders, having to make it work, putting your back up against the wall. And that's not for everyone. It's not for a lot of people. I don't know if I'd do it the same way again if I had my chance over. Of course, no regrets. But wow, that's huge to be able to, with a family like what you've done, with a family, put your back up against the wall, say this is what we're doing, this is what we're going to make work, no matter what. That's crazy. So good on you, man.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and I have to wonder if I didn't have that. I mean, stress isn't the right word, but if I didn't have that motivation, who knows where I would be at this point. And look, I mean, it's still not like I'm not at the point where I feel 100% comfortable. Like every day, I think that's part of being an entrepreneur. You're always in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
You always know something could happen at any
Yeah.
given point.
You always think
It's
though, I'm going to feel comfortable when I'm at like this point or when I'm at like this amount of earnings, and you get there and you're like, oh, not really, not yet. I need to
and it
reach this.
also and it just feels so far away. I mean, like there's nothing worse than laying in bed at night and having thoughts like that pop into your head, and not be able to sleep or something like that. But
Yeah.
but I don't want to paint it like I live a miserable, stressful life.
No, not
Because
at all.
that is definitely not the case.
Yeah.
That stress is there, but that's not my life. Doesn't revolve around it.
Yeah.
It's just part of the gig.
Yeah, completely get you. So I of course know what you do, and I do the same thing. But explain to the listeners, people maybe or the watchers, I should say, who haven't, who have got no idea what you and I both do. Like what is it that we do?
Yeah, well, I mean, primarily you and I drop ship, right? I mean, I think we both have our hands in other places, but I think where you and I have made our bones is drop shipping, and specifically drop shipping high ticket items,
Yeah.
right? You and I aren't looking for 20, 30, $50 knickknacks to sell on eBay or Amazon or anything like that. We're setting up our own Shopify stores. We're finding US based suppliers of high-end products,
Yeah.
and we're basically acting like a marketing and service, a full marketing and service dealer online for them. And it's been an amazing model for me, and really, I mean, the most virtuous aspect of the model is you really don't need any capital to get started, other than
It's
just
crazy, right?
money to advertise at the very beginning. So
Hmm.
if you have $500 in your bank, you can do this. You can pull this off.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah. Do you get like friends and family come up to you and say, "Oh, I wish I could do what you do," and like I get that, and I say to them, "You can." Like it's the barrier of entry is so low. Like there's no reason why you couldn't do it. All you got to do is have the same sort of motivation, the why. I think the why, like as you said before, with your back up against the wall, your why was obviously huge. Your motivation was huge.
yeah.
That's what made it work. But yeah, like, do you get that? Do you get people come up to you and say, "Oh, I wish I could have what you have"?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I get kind of all aspects. I think I certainly had a couple people who I think they just assume because you have an online based business there's something scammy about it. There's still a little bit of
Yeah,
stigma attached to it, but I
yeah,
didn't get a lot of that. I know others get that all the time, right? Like Michael Coglin's story about how everybody in his hometown they think that he's like a scam artist or a drug dealer or something. He's home all day, right?
yeah, yeah,
So I don't have anything like that. I think to me it's like most people just completely disregard it. I think people are so indoctrinated to going to school, getting a degree, and then finding a good paying job that this kind of thing just seems, I don't know, crazy, far fetched. It's like irresponsible, even,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And so it's one of the things that I think about a lot. Like if there's something I could impress upon the world, especially on younger generations, it's that, man, that is not the only route to go. And in fact, it's probably the worst route you can go. There are so many opportunities, and the internet, and I don't want to sound too cliche here, but the internet has
yeah.
created an abundance of those. It's really opened things up, and I don't think people understand as well that it's still like a wild frontier right now. There's just so much that isn't done yet. There's so many things still to do and so many ways to make money.
Yeah,
But people just overlook it. They don't even consider it.
exactly. Like that's what you were just saying there. It's one of Tim Ferriss's questions, I guess, really, isn't it? If you could have a billboard anywhere, what would you have on it? That's
Yeah.
a fantastic statement to have on there. And you're completely right. Like so many people, I guess Australia is similar to the US in a way where we've got this stigma where you are. It's preached to you that you've got to go to school, you've got to get good grades, you've got to keep studying, you've got to go to university, get a secure job, and that I think that sort of model is of security, and what we should be doing is kind of out the window now. Really, like we're in a different era with the online or the internet era, I guess. So, and as you say, opportunities are continually presenting themselves. Like look at cryptocurrency now, which has just come up in the last, I don't know, it's been on my radar now, like popping up in front of me for the past year or so. I'm sure it's been around for a lot longer, but I've got friends now who I just spoke to a buddy just this morning who has made $5,000 in the last week just off
Cryptocurrency?
just off cryptocurrency. Yeah, just a little bit of
Yeah.
just a bit of investing and trading here and there, like a little bit of knowledge. Things like that were unheard of, years ago, and that's I think you're 100% on the mark there. People these days just don't really understand that the whole employee employer the whole that whole thing is completely changing. It's
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
yeah,
not. It doesn't just have to be online business. Like you don't have to be selling things or marketing things online to really reap the benefits of that. I think I'm trying to think of the guy's name. I don't know why I'm blanking on it. He wrote the book Choose Yourself. He's been
uh-huh,
on Tim's podcast a couple times. I'm totally blanking on it for some reason. But
yeah. We'll put it in the
the
notes later on.
yeah, yeah. But the initial premise of the book is, you know, in essentially that in modern times, there's no reason why you need to work for a company, and there's no reason why any given person or corporation or business needs to hire a company. It's so easy to freelance now
Yeah,
as well online because you can video chat, video call from anywhere in the country or anywhere in the world. You just don't need to have the backing of a major corporation to add value anywhere, right? So
yeah,
so it doesn't have to be selling stuff. It could be consulting. It could be accounting online or bookkeeping. It could be business coaching. It could be any number of things.
exactly.
That's just wish people would understand that there are so many other ways. And to me, forget going to school for 4. I mean, here you go to school for 4 years and you collect a bunch of debt, and then afterwards you maybe find a job for $50,000, $60,000, and you live an average lifestyle. I mean, I don't know. I mean, some people love that. I don't want to totally knock it, but
Yeah.
I mean, I would rather do that. I would rather spend those 4 years either trying out my own thing, trying to start my own business, start my own website, or if I really knew I wanted to get into something, like let's say I knew I wanted to be like and big into advertising and marketing. Forget school. Go, find a mentor and work for them for free for 4 years.
Yeah, for
You're
sure.
learn way more. You're going to be in a much better position when you're done, and you won't have debt. Like, why go to school for 4 years?
Yeah, it's crazy because you get pressured in like in primary school and high school to think about what type of career you want to have when you grow up, so to speak. And as a kid, I remember I had no idea what I wanted to do. And after actually, I didn't go to. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the best part about what we're doing now. We just choose what we're going to do, from day to day. But when I actually didn't go to college at all, I actually didn't finish high school. I knew that I had no idea what I wanted to do. I wanted to start making money, so I left after year 10. I think I was like halfway through year 11, and just went out and got a job and started doing what my dad did. I was in excavation in civil construction, and sort of I stuck in that field for about 10 years and started climbing up the ladder. But even still, all throughout that time, I, I'm sure you felt it as well. You've got that ceiling. When you've got a job, you've got that ceiling where you might be able to make it to the next position in the company, and get a different role or a different title. But at the end of the day, you've still got that ceiling of of your earning potential, of your freedom potential. How many days worth of holiday you can have each year, and where you can live as well. You've got to live a certain distance to your employment. So that for me, and it's going to be different for everyone. I think you and I are very similar in the way that we we want more. You know what I mean? We've got that drive, we've got that burning feeling inside that what we had before wasn't enough. So for people like us, for people who are experiencing that, that's what they need to realize, right? Like if that's you, then there is more out there, and what we're doing now with our drop shipping businesses, that's a perfect opportunity for anyone like us to who feels that they don't want that ceiling, who feels that they want more and not to be challenged, or who wants to be challenged and not to be held back. That this is the perfect stepping stone, the perfect sort of entry point to be able to do that, to be able to live that type of life, right?
Yeah. I mean, you literally you have a business model where you can simultaneously learn and cut your teeth and also make a really good living.
For sure, that's
right?
it.
Especially for younger people who don't have children yet, who don't have any debt, they don't have car payments or house payments, small apartments, right?
Yeah.
You got so little to lose. Just go for it.
I meet all these people who have got these businesses up and running, or they might even just be starting their business now, right? That don't have a family yet, and I tell them, like, you are so lucky you found this now. Actually, I just met a kid on the weekend. I was at a workshop that taught us about importing, and this kid was 17, and he was in this same workshop as me, and he was there with his mum. And we had to do this thing where the guy up on stage said, all right, everyone's going to get a little bit uncomfortable, turn to someone beside you and introduce yourself or whatever. So me and this kid started getting talking, and I said, oh, how old are you? And he goes, oh, I'm 17. And I said, well, what are you doing here? This is awesome. I wish I was here and doing something like this when I was 17, before. I think back and I think, man, like if I had have started at that age, like where he is, where could I be now? But
you'd be one of the Ezra Firestones of the world, right? When he was a teenager or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
crazy, right?
You're 100% right. I wish I was doing this a lot sooner.
So with dropship lifestyle, that's the course that we both we both went through. I started, I think, back in 2014. Since then I've done a whole heap of other courses, and of course that's part of continually learning and improving. But we both started with DSL, Dropship Lifestyle, and now you're a coach with Dropship Lifestyle. So you're giving back to the community now, right? So
Yeah.
so people book in calls with you, and you help them out with their business. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's kind of full circle, and it's probably more a labor of love than it is a lucrative part of what I do. It's honestly every day when I have a coaching call or I have multiple coaching calls, that's the highlight of my day.
Yeah.
But is it kind of loud in the background, or
The
is my wife?
dogs? Yeah, no, that's all
Yeah,
right.
they're getting mad at me.
I'm just lucky my daughter hasn't barged in and started crying because she hurt herself or anything yet. So
This is
this is
this
real.
is
This is what it's like.
this is part of the lifestyle, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. You get the lifestyle, you get everything else that goes with it too.
That's right. So yeah, I love it, man. I mean, it's like the best part of my day is getting to talk to other people who are doing the same thing, and specifically help people reach their next steps, whatever the case may be. So that's been like a really special change in my life. I think I started in August with Anton and with DSL,
Nice.
and I just loved it. I mean, I honestly I hope I get to do it more, as the months go on. It's probably something I wish I had more time dedicated to.
It's a great feeling, right? Like I do something similar. You get the chance to give back all those little things which took you so long to figure out how to do or figure out how to do right, and you're giving that benefit to someone who's craving it, like they just want to get to, I guess, the next level or maybe even where you are, and to be able to help them not have to go through those same pains and things that you went through. Like I'm sure you could have stories just like what I do, endless nights being up, tearing your hair out trying to fix some little problem on your website, or
Yeah,
things like that. So be able to give that back to people is something that I
yeah,
truly enjoy, and by the sounds of things you do too.
yeah. I think it's kind of just ingrained in me. I've been coaching sailing and coaching. Now I also coach like business strategy and stuff outside of DSL.
Oh,
I've been doing
nice.
this my whole life. Like I think I'm just a natural teacher. It's probably my biggest passion. And yeah, I agree. I think the challenge that I have with coaching for DSL is, you've got these short and very tactical implementation oriented coaching calls. And for me, my coaching philosophy has always been, um, you know, teach them how to fish, right? Don't
Right.
don't give them the fish. And so
Yeah.
that's a challenge because a lot of times we're doing 30-minute calls and somebody has specific problems or specific questions. And so if there's one thing that's tough about it, it's you really want it, in a perfect world you'd have some time to mentor
Yeah.
and give help give a bit of a bigger picture understanding of how things are working rather than just fixing problems. But in on the calls where I have had the time to do that, it's been really kind of special, and I think it's much better for the person on the other end.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree. Like when you help someone out, you want to help them along that whole journey, not just little snippets. But at the same time, if you can help them just get over the biggest pain point, um, that's like the little push that they needed to keep moving. I guess
Yeah,
the DSL community is huge. There's like, I don't even know how many people are in that Facebook group now. There's like thousands, right? Like
thousands.
maybe 5,000 people or something, and it's very active too. People are helping each other out. We've got like the DSL retreat, which is on every year, where you and I actually just met for the first time in Mexico.
Yeah,
And it's a fantastic community of people that all help each other out. But those little areas where people need that little extra bit of a push is, something that
yeah,
I
it's
understand what you mean. You feel like you want to
yeah,
give more, but I think at the same time they're getting a lot of value from it.
yeah. I think they're getting a lot of confidence from it too. Sometimes that's all they need is just a reminder that you know it's okay that this stuff is confusing. It's okay that it feels
Yeah,
hard. And here's a little push. Yeah, but
for
you're right.
sure.
Yeah, 100%.
So what's on the what's your short term and I guess long term plans? For yourself with your family and your business as well. Are you gonna keep trying to scale this current store that you've got? Are you going to move on to more sort of coaching and mentoring roles? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, good question. Obviously, you and I have kind of been brainstorming a little bit, just thinking about this stuff back and forth.
Mm.
So long term, I'm not going to go too much further than like 5 years down the road or so. But my big picture goal is I've got a number in mind that I want to reach, and I mean like total net worth,
Yeah.
because not that I want to like reach that number and stop and
Yeah.
like hit the retirement button, but I
Yeah.
just know there's a certain point where I know I want to get to, and then um, I feel like you reach a level of financial freedom
Yeah.
to where I can kind of do whatever I want at that point. And so the number in my head, I don't mind sharing. The number in my head is I want to reach $5 million in net worth
Nice.
by the end of 2023.
Yeah.
So short term, what does that mean? Short term, I'm focused, on building the primary store that I have now. I actually had, if we were talking 4 or 5 months ago, I had 2 drop shipping stores. I actually closed one down because it was kind of meandering between profitability and not. And the first store started getting so big, it just sort of swallowed up my time, and I just shut it down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to grow this one to a certain point next year, and I'm focusing a lot year end right now on my email marketing tactics and on my let's just say I'm trying to focus less on generating traffic, focus more on converting more customers, increasing my average order value, and increasing my order frequency. That's kind of my push
Yeah.
now and end of the year, early next year. But I also know I have a goal of creating 2 more drop shipping stores in the first half of 2018.
Okay.
And then my wife and I also have a little side project where she created a store called Mom Life.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And it's basically it's a print on demand business. It's mostly T-shirts and sweatshirts and phone covers and things like that. But it's all merchandising geared towards moms. So
Right.
they've got cool sayings like no days off or up all night.
Yeah.
And she's got like holiday themed shirts like all I want for Christmas is a silent night, things like that.
Nice.
So
that's awesome. I'm sure that will do well. I'm sure my wife would love that too.
I'll send you a shirt then.
Yeah, definitely.
Get that thing off the ground. We've had it forever, and we just need to like officially launch it and start advertising. So yeah, long term, that $5 million number is in my head, and short term, focusing still for now on drop shipping, but next year will end with with some sort of product brand, some sort of physical product brand.
Oh wow, cool.
In the works. I think that's kind of the next
step.
Make the good money and the good margin, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. I've got a very similar plan myself. I don't necessarily have that that net worth sort of value in my head, but I know that my own brand, my own sort of product out there in the market, importing that and creating that myself. Whether it's importing or manufacturing here, probably going to be importing, but that's where it seems to be a bit more real. You know what I mean? You've got something physical that's yours. It's your brand. You've got full control over it. So yeah, definitely agree with you there.
100%.
All right, Brian, I think we better wrap this up, buddy. We're just on time now. So again, thank you very much for jumping on this video chat with us, the show, the podcast, whatever this is going to be. Where can people find you if they want to, I guess, get in touch with you, ask you questions, and so on?
Yeah, I wish I was better prepared with a good answer. Obviously, anybody that's interested in coaching, I would love to help, love to coach, love to get involved and help kind of push you to your next level if I can. And you can find me if you go to if you're a member of Dropship Lifestyle, you can go into the back end and you can find me on the coaching page and sign up anytime.
Yep.
And definitely, I'm in the lifestyle community, so you can always find me in Lifestyle Flipper in the Facebook group.
Yep.
And hopefully one day soon I'll finally have a website to actually advertise myself so that I can do this a little bit more officially down the road.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll put the links in the show notes for everyone if they're interested. Again, Brian, thank you very much for jumping on the call, buddy. It's always a pleasure chatting, and wish you all the best, man. Chat soon.
Yeah, thanks, man. Honestly, this is a big honor. It's pretty cool to be the first show, and so I look forward to watching more and bragging about being the first though.
Maybe we'll look back in like 100 episodes or something and think, "Oh my God, what was I thinking?" Or "What did we say?" Or hopefully we get to that stage. Who knows? It might be
Rambling mess of conversation that was.
exactly. Like I'm just sitting here. I'm sitting on like one of those exercise balls, and I'm probably going to look back on this thinking, just sit on a freaking chair. Don't move around all the time.
Well, I'm standing if it makes you feel any better. So
Yeah, there we go.
all
Cool.
over the place.
All right, Brian. Enjoy your night, buddy. And again, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. See you guys.
Cheers, man. Bye.